Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to make this really short. In 2018, I was contacted by a young man who was in the facility with Bradley Christopher Stark. They told me about the agreement that they had and the private law that Congress issued to them. Now, of course, when you go look for the private law, it's not there, but these gentlemen had a copy of the private law because they were given a copy. Because of the time from 2014 until the present, they don't have their original copies because of time and circumstance. So we tried to get one from the archives and from Congress, and they all claim they're looking for it. To this day, they have not gotten back with us to tell us, no, that never existed, no, that's a fraud. They haven't done any of that. But because I wasn't on the actual agreement, I had to get authority from one of the people who were on the agreement to speak on their behalf. He later contacted an attorney, a relative attorney, and decided that, that individual's got he's got the little ID and everything. He's got credentials. So I'm going to use him because he seems to know more about what he's doing than, EeoN. And so I said, fine. Que sera, sera. So he told me, don't do anything else with it. You don't mess with it no more. I said, no problem. It's your junk. You control that. Then a couple of months, well, not really a couple of months, almost a full year later, he gets back in touch with me after going MIA. We thought something had happened to the young man. Then he tells me nothing worked out. I said, really? He says, so can you still help me? I said, nope. He says, oh, please. I said, no. I said, that ship done sailed. And I've not spoken to him since. When he tried to call, I ignored his call. Used me once. Used me twice. You can even use me a third time. But after that, what did they say? Keep on using me until you use me up? Okay. I ain't got time. I don't have time. So, ladies and gentlemen, I created an arbitration association. Why? Because there is no law. Anybody can create an arbitration association as long as they follow the Federal Arbitration Act or the United States Arbitration Act. So I told the staff today, I said, the reason why I allowed them to put me inside that so-called penal institution for 2 years and 2 months and kept my mouth shut, didn't try to get out, is because I was studying arbitration for those 2 years and 2 months. I went to college. I told everybody I was going to school. And I did that because I needed to do it without distractions. So I got to focus on arbitration, read the cases, understand why the courts made the decision they made, understand how to hit them in the head. Came back out. Hey, everything was good to go. But when I started that arbitration association, let me see if I can pull it up for you so that you can see. This is the information on the arbitration and taking the award and converting the award to accounts receivables. And talking about the fact that, we created a tutorial. Okay, now look, I'm going to do this for you. You want to start a company? You start an arbitration company, but you got to do it the right way. Okay, I explained exactly what I did, exactly how I followed the law, and then it creates a tutorial for you on how you do that. Those of you with arbitration awards that were never contested, never vacated, those awards are still good. Do them as account receivables. Read this conversation. Then right after this, there's going to be a short tutorial video explaining this and explaining the process. Woohoo! This is done for you guys, not done for me. I already know this stuff. Ladies and gentlemen, that's how I'm able to start companies and assign these receivables to those companies and get them going off the ground. Many of you have arbitration awards and I don't know what to do with it. Well, it wasn't my job ever to tell you what to do with your award. You understand how illegal that is? So we weren't supposed to be telling you how to handle your award, how to get your award, this or that or anything. And many of you were trying to contact us when we told you to do your research, not ours. Shame on y'all. Because y'all put all that weight on us, making us feel sorry for y'all, when y'all were supposed to do the research. Y'all, Not us. Y'all. So, do your research, ladies and gentlemen. The information is right here, and it was right there, and it was there all the time. Okay? It was right there all the time. Now, we went through... I went straight to DeepSeek on this one. That's why you see the conversation. Let's go on up. Because he created the book. He created 2 tutorials. Okay? He created 2 tutorials. The first tutorial was a piece of junk. That's that one right there. And then right after that, I said, hey, you idiot, that's a piece of junk. He said, oh, I'm sorry. And then he created the more detailed one, explaining exactly how we do it. Why am I giving you this information? Look, ladies and gentlemen, they're getting ready to tokenize everything. So learn how to tokenize your account receivables. Shh, don't tell nobody. That's supposed to be a secret. Y'all not supposed to be knowing about stuff like that. It's too much information. No, I won't be doing any consults on this. Now, if you want to do an arbitration association and start your own arbitration association, yes, I'll do a consult on that every day of the week. Show you exactly what to look out for, give you the ins and outs. I can't tell you everything because 2 hours and 30 minutes is not enough time to explain everything, but I'll give you all the basics you need to know, where you need to go for the information. Now, hold on now. We go over exactly how we created the contracts, exactly what we did with the contracts, how we sent the contracts and why the contracts are binding, how there's no judge, no court can say they're not binding. We followed the law. I don't care what a judge said, unless they bring us in court and we are there testifying and we have a jury trial, trial by jury, then F that stupid judge. You heard what I said. I'll tell them that to their face. Right there in the courtroom. I don't have a problem telling the judge, F you and your stupidity. Unless you have facts and conclusions of law, shut up. I don't have a problem doing that. You can't do that, but I can. I've been doing this for too long. They don't get to talk to me the way they talk to you. I will never let a judge check me in front of anyone. Ever. I apologize. This is not about pride or anything like that. This is about they are public servants, not public gods. Okay? They don't get to say whatever they want to say. They don't have freedom of speech. Do you guys understand that? They are public servants. They do not have rights. They do not have freedom of speech. Pay attention. They have duties and obligations. Once they go beyond those duties and those obligations, they're fair game. But enough about that. Sorry, a lot of them said a lot of stupid things about us, and we had to keep our mouths shut. Now we're getting ready to unmouth ourselves and go after these idiots. However, your goal for starting an arbitration association is not to get rich. You can't have that as a goal. See, what we're doing with the Arbitration Association, the EeoN Foundation, we have not been doing arbitrations for the last year. We're getting ready to start doing arbitrations again. At the beginning of January, we're going to be doing arbitrations again. The clients, we already have clients already set up, contracts already done. We've done this for all of our clients. If you get an award from an arbitrator that is not properly contested, as required by law, pay attention, then that award is final and it's binding. You don't need to get it confirmed by no stupid judge. Pay attention. Section 9 says any of the parties may go to the court and seek confirmation. Doesn't say you have to. Doesn't say confirmation is necessary. If you want to enforce the judgment, then you go and you get a judicial order. That way you can bring the police in, you can garnish wages and all of that stuff. That's if you want to do that. But if you want to just, hey, man, fine, I'm just going to count this as revenue. I'm just going to write this stuff off, or I'm going to count receivables, or I'm going to defer the assets, or because the award itself is constituted a financial instrument because it shows one party having an obligation to another party and there is a judgment, arbitrator issued an award behind it, then it's a financial instrument. Learn what you can do with a financial instrument under the accrual method of accounting. How banks use your note to get monies from the Federal Reserve all the time. Now I gotta go. Yes, there's a lot of information here, but this is a 10-minute video plus the 7-minute video, making it 17 minutes. Arrivederci.
All right, today we're pulling back the curtain on something you've probably agreed to dozens of times without a second thought. We are going to explore the hidden financial engine that's built right into the legal fine print of arbitration agreements.
Seriously, think about it. How many times have you clicked that I agree button, for a new app, a software update, an online service? Well, it turns out that simple click isn't just a legal hoop to jump through. It can actually kickstart a process so powerful, it can create a real financial asset almost out of thin air. So, where does all this power come from? How can a simple click carry so much weight? Well, it all starts with a huge piece of federal law that basically sets all the rules for this entire game. Yeah, this is not some small-time regulation. We're talking about the Federal Arbitration Act, or the FAA. This law creates a national policy that is incredibly pro-arbitration. And here's the kicker. It's the supreme law of the land in this area. That means it trumps any state laws that might try to weaken it. It puts these arbitration agreements on the exact same level as any other contract.
And look, the Supreme Court could not be more clear on this. What this quote is saying is that courts are basically told hands off. They can't just create their own exceptions or try to wiggle out of what an arbitration contract says. Their only job is to enforce it, period. And it's that strictness that gives this whole process its incredible, unstoppable power.
Okay, so we've got this super powerful federal law. But how does that connect to us, in our everyday digital lives? Well, let's look at the very moment one of these agreements is born.
Back in the day, a binding contract meant physical signatures, maybe some lawyers, definitely a lot of paper. Today, it's what's called a click-wrap agreement. The methods couldn't be more different, right? But legally speaking, they can be identical. Thanks to the FAA, that one little click is your digital handshake, and believe me, it is just as binding as signing on the dotted line.
Now, of course, it's not a total free-for-all. For that digital handshake to hold up in court, it has to check a few boxes. The famous Meyer versus Uber case really laid this out. The agreement has to be in writing, and yep, digital text totally counts. It needs to involve commerce between states, which, let's be honest, almost every online service does. And crucially, the company has to show a clear intent to arbitrate and give you, the user, reasonable notice. You have to have a fair chance to actually see what you're agreeing to.
So, you've clicked agree, a dispute comes up. What happens next? Well, you're not heading to a big public courthouse. You're going somewhere else entirely, a unique private forum.
And the main person in this private forum is the arbitrator. Now, this is important. They are not a government judge. They're a private citizen whose power comes from just two places, the contract you agreed to and that powerful federal law backing it up. They act in what's called a quasi-judicial capacity, which is just a fancy way of saying they do the same stuff a judge does. They hear evidence, they listen to arguments, and they make a final binding decision. And this is where things get really different from a regular trial. The whole process is built for speed. You know all those super formal rules of evidence you see in courtroom TV shows? Most of that goes out the window here. The arbitrator has a lot more flexibility to consider different kinds of information, as long as the whole thing is fundamentally fair. The main goal is to get to a just resolution and to get there fast.
Okay, so the hearing's over, the arbitrator has made a decision. This is where the process enters its most critical phase. A clock starts ticking, and trust me, this deadline changes everything. Let's just walk through this. On day 0, a final written award is issued. That starts a 90-day countdown. This is the one and only chance anyone has to challenge that award in court. And even then, the reasons are super narrow. But the second the clock strikes midnight and day 91 arrives, it's over. The award is final, it's binding, and it's completely unchallengeable.
And when I say absolute, I mean it is absolute. A case called Fluorescent made it crystal clear that this 90-day period is a hard and fast statute of limitations. You can't ask for an extension. It doesn't matter if you find some smoking gun on day 91. Too late. The window is slammed shut, locked, and the key is thrown away. This finality is the entire point of the system.
So what happens after that 90-day window slams shut for good? Well, this is the magic trick. This is where a legal decision transforms into pure, cold, hard financial value.
See, once that award is final, it's not just a legal document anymore. Under standard accounting rules, it becomes an accounts receivable. It's a legally enforceable right to get paid, and it gets written down on a company's balance sheet as a real tangible asset, just like an invoice they sent out for a job they completed.
So what can you do with this brand new asset? Well, you can turn it into cash. A company can take this award, walk into a bank, and use it as collateral to get a loan.
They could even tokenize it and sell it off as a digital security to investors. Or, for the fastest route, they can just sell the whole award to another company for a lump sum of cash right now. The legal win is now liquid capital.
And there you have it. That's the entire machine. A legal award goes in, the 90-day clock ticks down, and what comes out the other side is a confirmed account receivable. Basically, a cash-equivalent asset with real financial power in the real world. So, the next time you're scrolling through some long terms of service and you see that little section on arbitration, maybe you won't just see a boring legal footnote. Maybe, just maybe, you'll see the blueprint for a financial machine, one designed to turn a simple agreement into a final, binding, and very valuable asset.